UFC 312, Dricus du Plessis versus Strickland. Who wins? As always, this is the full card breakdown, starting with the early prelims, ending with the main event. Let's get straight into it. First fight of the night, we have Young Sung Park versus Namjargo Tumendebro. So this fight is actually interesting. Young Sung Park looked good on the Dana White Contender Series, has 2 finishes on the Dana White Contender Series. But Namjargo, he is the dog, but I don't think he's a plus. I think he opened up at a plus 265, and now he's a plus 190. I do believe he is the dog, just because Park has been looking better, but I don't think he should be this much of a dog. Yeah, I don't know. This fight's a little tricky, but I will go Park. I just believe Park will be able to get it done. He's a little more crisper, and Namjargo likes to get in these exchanges, throws like everything at the other person. Almost looks like he's throwing the kitchen sink at the guy. But yeah, I'll just go Park. I feel like he's a little crisper. But I wouldn't be surprised if Jargo got this done early. Then we have Quillen Sokild versus Yanshul Jubilee. And I'm going Quillen. Quillen just, his first fight, I believe they have the same record. I think Quillen's like 8-1. Jubilee's like 7-1. And I feel like Jubilee has some bias because he's like one of the only fighters really coming out of India. But Quillen, man, he just looks crisp. Jubilee has some cardio problems, and the only way he really wins this is through his grappling. So if he's relying on his grappling to get this one done, then give me Quillen, because Quillen can survive if Jubilee tries to take this to the ground. And I just think Quillen is more well-rounded. He looked crisper in his fights. I think he only lost his debut, like in fighting in general. So give me Quillen. And I think he's the biggest favorite on this card. So I think rightfully so. Then we have Jonathan McCallif versus Kevin Dricus. Guys, we got a badass fight. No, I'm just kidding. But yeah, Jonathan, I believe he's coming off a loss due to TKO Dr. Stoppage on the Contender Series. He only has 1 loss, but this is a hard fight to debut to. Even though Kevin Dricus is coming off that dominant Bryan Battle win, doesn't mean he's a bum. Kevin Dricus has a black belt in judo. He's pretty decent everywhere. He's good at keeping range. He has decent grappling. I'm going to pick Kevin Dricus. This is a hard fight to debut to. And I think a lot of people are kind of looking at the Bryan Battle loss and kind of going based off that, but he needs pressure to get finished. I feel like Bryan Battle applied that pressure, and yeah, I honestly would argue Dricus looked good in the first round, but Bryan Battle was able to just pick up the pace and TKO him in the second. But yeah, pick will be Kevin Dricus. I think he's one of the safer picks on this card. This card has a lot of 50-50 fights, honestly. This card is kind of like a sleeper, hard card to break down. And then we got Rong Zhu versus Cody Steele. I'm going Cody Steele. Although Cody Steele does not have near the experience of MMA as Rong Zhu, I feel like Cody Steele has serious power in his hands. I think he's like on a 4-fight KO streak. And he has solid grappling. Rong Zhu, he's okay. I just feel like Cody Steele is just the more well-rounded fighter, in the sense he just has decent grappling and strong power in the hands. And I wouldn't be surprised if Cody Steele put Rong Zhu away. Moving up the card. Then we have, at first glance, you would think, oh, obviously Topuria, but Colby isn't a bum. Colby, if for those who don't know, he trains with Volkanovski. Colby trains with Volkanovski. He's undefeated. He's 7-0 in his MMA career, and he is an active fighter. Now, Alexandre Topuria, if you don't know, this is Topuria's brother. And he's not really as active as Colby. And you can make the argument Topuria's been fighting cans. Like, you look at some of the fights, you can search it up on TikTok. I mean, it's not really impressive. He's knocking, like, some cans in the first round. But, like, these guys, like, 1-9, I'm hearing. So, there's a strong case. I don't think the odds should be as wide as they are. Just because Topuria really has improved himself. And you could even make the argument that he's only getting this shot because of his brother. But I'm still going Topuria. Colby trains Volkanovski. Volkanovski's going to be in his corner. Topuria is going to be in, obviously, Alexandre Topuria's corner. So they might make it a Volkanovski and Topuria cornering each other, hype up this fight even more. But this should be a sick fight to open up the prelims. And yeah, I think Colby has the advantage in the cardio. And Topuria, he trains with his brother, his younger brother. This should be just a solid fight, man. Topuria looks like he has decent grappling and strong power. He's kind of like his brother in the way that they don't really have high output, and when they hit you, they're hitting you hard. So, yeah, give me Topuria, but I wouldn't be surprised if Colby got it done in the later rounds. Then we have Wayne Kong versus Bruno Brazil. For those who don't know, Bruno Brazil is actually training at the Fighting Nerds gym. And Wayne Kong, man, minus 1,100 in her last fight. Lost to, I think, Gabriela Fernandez or something like that. And Gabriela Fernandez was like a plus 800. Everybody thought Wayne Kong was going to lose. Was going to win. Everybody thought, oh, this is an easy fight. I even had Wayne Kong in the safety parlay. Little did I know, Wayne Kong sold. And it wasn't like oh my gosh, he got taken down and like submitted. No, you look at the stats, you assume taken down, submitted. No, she got knocked down, then submitted on the ground. Wayne Kong has 100% takedown defense. I just don't know, man. Like Bruno Brazil, she could probably switch it up. She's decent on the feet, has decent grappling. I just feel like I think it's risky just picking Wayne Kong here. So I'm picking against Wayne Kong. I'm going Bruno Brazil. Wayne Kong should get this done. But after her last loss, I don't know. I want to see where she's at in this fight. And also, for those who don't know, Wayne Kong did beat Valentina Shevchenko in a kickboxing match. But this is MMA. And in MMA, she's 1-1 in the UFC. So I think after this fight, I'll get a better idea of where she's at. And then we have Tom Nolan versus Borshev. Tom Nolan was a minus 1,400 in his last fight. And now he's a plus 120. In my opinion, this is kind of rare. You would assume the guy who's the favorite would be the favorite again. So that kind of just goes to show you how Tom Nolan's last performance went. Not super convincing, but he is a problem in the lightweight division. He's 6'3", has decent reach. And I want to go Tom Nolan in this. Borshev does have a solid chin, and I feel like he should be the slight favorite. More proven than the UFC. Has some KO power. This is going to be a stand-up fight. And for some reason, I just believe in the prospect in Tom Nolan. But I wouldn't be surprised if Borshev got this done. He hasn't been chinned. He has a solid chin. But I would think Tom Nolan, being 6'3", the reach advantage, should be able to get this one done. And his resume is pretty decent. The only one to get to knock him out was Nicholas Mata. And Nicholas Mata was one of the underdogs of the week. But yeah, give me Tom Nolan. But I wouldn't be surprised if Borshev got this done, to be honest. Moving on up the card, then we have Jack Jenkins versus Gabriel Santos. At first, I didn't really know how Jack Jenkins was a dog. I was like, man, Jack Jenkins is kind of on a little bit of a win streak. Only lost one fight in his last 5 to Stipe Maviscal. And Maviscal, for those who don't know, crazy scrambles, really high-paced fighter. But then I realized, like, Gabriel Santos is kind of, he's good at taking down. In his third fight, I believe against Lerone Murphy, shot 11 takedowns. And Gabriel Santos only kind of lost the comp. His debut was against Lerone Murphy. undefeated fighter. So yeah, even though Jack Jenkins is coming off a KO win against Herbert Burns, Herbert Burns, he's faced a decent comp, but I think Gabriel Santos, if he's able to, this is like a coin flip fight in my opinion. If Gabriel Santos is able to get the takedowns going, then he'll probably win this. With that being said, Gabriel Santos will be the pick, but I wouldn't be surprised if Jack Jenkins was able to get going. Then we got Jake Matthews. I'm taking Jake Matthews over Francisco Prado. Francisco isn't a bad fighter. I just feel like Jake Matthews has only lost a decent comp in the UFC. He's pretty well rounded and will probably try to grapple Prado. And Prado hasn't shot a takedown in the UFC. He hasn't even landed a takedown in the UFC. And Prado lost to Jamie Mullarkey. And Jamie Mullarkey's trash. So, yeah. That's all I really have to say about that. I think Jake Matthews will most likely be able to get this one done. And Francisco Prado, as you can see, hasn't seen a decision. So, it's either he wins by finish or he doesn't. But yeah, I just think Jake Matthews, you could kind of see right here. I just wanted to show you guys the takedown averages, the takedown accuracy. He'll probably take the Prado down and probably grapple him. And we got Jimmy Crute versus Rodolfo Bellato. And for those who don't know, Bellato has trained with Poatan Alex Pereira. And I think Rodolfo Bellato is honestly one of the more locks on this card. Jimmy Crute, I think the UFC is kind of just giving Bellato Jimmy Crute for Jimmy Crute just to push bro's head back, literally. Bellato, he's making his UFC not debut, but I think it's like his second fight in the UFC. And Jimmy Crute just inconsistent. In his last 5 fights, he's on a 3-fight losing streak. I think he had a no contest in one of them. And his last fight is in 2023. Before that loss, his last fight was in 2021. So it's a little hard. Some people deal with injuries and things like that, but I'll probably go Rodolfo Bellato. I'm just more confident. Jimmy Crute, they're in 2 different places right now. Bellato's knocking people out. Jimmy Crute's coming off losses, and he got finished in those. So, yeah. Give me Rodolfo Bellato. Now, this one is a lot harder to predict than people think. They see Thales Teixeira, and they're like, oh, come on, Justin Thomas, trash. Give me Taliesin. Especially since Taliesin's 6'7". Teixeira's undefeated. But Teixeira's, he's untested in the UFC. And we've seen a lot of these guys, especially recently, look good on the Dana White Contender Series. They're not tested, though. And then they come out and they get knocked out or they just get dominated. And this could happen. Justin Tafa could, just for those who don't know, Justin Tafa's the dog. I think he's like a plus 130, plus 160 dog. Justin Tafa could chin this guy. And Teixeira, before I even say anything else, Teixeira is the pick. I think he's 6'7". I think the reach will be a significant advantage, and I think if Justin Tafa was more of a grappler, I'd choose bro. But he's a stand and bang fighter. I respect it, but if you're trying to stand and that's what you're gonna do, I can't really just choose you, especially when you have that much of a reach disadvantage. If Justin Tafa was a grappler, I would have picked him, but I think Teixeira, just 6'7", heavyweight division, not out of shape. He might just be able to chin Tafa bad and maybe even put him out. I think this fight's going to end in a KO, and the pick will be Teixeira. But he's, like I said, he's untested in the UFC. Wouldn't be surprised if Justin Tafa KO'd him, And then we have Zhang Wei Li versus Tatiana Suarez. This is honestly a tough fight for both these girls. I like this fight a lot. Honestly, one of the more entertaining women's fights, especially because both these ladies finish people. They're not decision merchants. They're coming out. Even though Zhang Weili's kind of been a little bit of a decision merchant recently, she kind of likes to just control her opponents now. Tatiana only seen the decision like twice. And her resume is stacked. She has wins over Carla Esparza, Alexa Grasso, submitted Alexa Grasso. And this is a tough fight to predict, but I will pick Tatiana Suarez. I think this is where Zhang Weili will probably strive and win though. Zhang Weili has the cardio. We've seen her go 5 rounds multiple times. She has the better striking. Tatiana is more of a wrestler, get you to the ground and pound you on the ground, submit you on the ground, and she's really good at taking you down. If she gets a hold of a leg or shoots a double, she's gonna take you down. And Zhang Weili has decent grappling. She does not shoot nearly as much. She did not shoot nearly as much as Zhang Weili. She averages 6 takedowns. Zhang Weili averages 2. But Tatiana Suarez, 100% takedown defense, undefeated. Damn, man, you know what I'm saying? And especially, how the judges be. If Tatiana gets that control time. But yeah, Tatiana's resume is stacked. Zhang Weili has become more of a staller, and I think Tatiana's the type to really kind of feel Zhang Weili out and then just go for a finish. If this goes to the ground, I have Tati winning. Whether that be control time, whether that be finishing Zhang Weili. But if it stays standing and Zhang Weili is able to just negate the takedown defense, the takedowns of Tatiana, then I'd go Zhang Weili if it stays standing. But look at the takedown defense. 50% takedown defense on Zhang Weili's side. Tatiana has 100% takedown defense. If Zhang Weili takes you down, she's not really looking to sub you. The fact that Tatiana's just a beast on the ground is going to make that much of a difference. But I think Zhang Weili can hold her own on the ground in certain positions, but she's not going to try to finish Tati. Maybe she does finish Tati on the ground, but Tati, undefeated for a reason, resume stacked. Only person is, and don't be, because there's going to be people Zhang Weili never got subbed. Yeah, Alexa Grasso never got subbed. Her only sub on her resume is by Tatiana. So it really doesn't matter, in my opinion. Tatiana's that good. The pick will be Tatiana. And then we have Dricus du Plessis versus Sean Strickland. A tricky fight to break down. Sean Strickland keeps that forward pressure. And I think he's one of the solid dogs on this card. I don't think he should be a plus 164 dog. I think that's a little crazy to me. The pick will be Dricus du Plessis, but I see the argument for Sean Strickland. Solid fighter. These guys literally have the same exact build, with Dricus having a little bit of longer reach advantage in his legs, but similar builds. Strickland's style is good, right? He has a 1-2 jab, a jab. He lives behind that jab. Moves forward, jab, 1-2, jab, 1-2, teep kick. But if Dricus du Plessis is able to wrestle Sean Strickland, get a little bit of better takedowns, it's gonna be a long night for Strickland. I think if Dricus does win this time, it'll probably be to a finish, maybe ground and pound. But we haven't really seen Sean Strickland in that position of ground and pound scenario, and him getting knocked out through ground and pound. Sean Strickland does have really good takedown defense, but man, I feel like that 77% takedown defense might go a little lower after this fight. But yeah, obviously Sean Strickland you could give the edge to him in the striking, but my problem with Sean Strickland is this: he always aims for the head. Doesn't really throw a lot of body kicks unless it's a teep kick to create separation. He likes to keep you at range. And Dricus just kind of makes it a dirty fight. He's not as technical as Sean. He's going to come running at you. Such an awkward style. It's kind of hard to prepare for Dricus du Plessis. and he always kind of finds a way to get it done. He's undefeated in the UFC, has faced, I mean, you could even say some of the GOATs in the sport. Izzy, only person to submit Izzy. Beat Robert Whittaker. I mean, like, he's only seen the decision a couple times. Sean's really a decision merchant or a KO. He's gonna KO you, or he's gonna go to a decision. I think if Dricus is able to mix in the takedowns a little more efficiently, he might be able to just stall it out, get the control time, get the points on the judges' scorecards. I feel like he has way more options to win. And they're showing Strickland. I feel like Strickland's going to make this. It's either a decision through significant strikes, like jab, 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 teep kick, 1-2, 1-2, jab, jab. Or Dricus is going to, and like where Dricus can mix it up, you know. He could go for submission, could take your back, take you down, ground and pound. He has decent striking. And he has power, you know. Both these guys have power. I think Dricus just has a little more power. So yeah, it's either if Sean's, the way Sean wins this is, I think if he negates some of the takedowns of Dricus and keeps it standing, he has a solid chance. But even at that, I feel like Sean should have finished Dricus once he had his eyes swelling up in the first or second round. But Dricus literally just keeps on pushing forward, and he just doesn't give up. And I think that's where Dricus' strength lies in, just not giving up and finding a way to get it done. That is the breakdown. Subscribe to Winnable. Share this video with a friend. Tell a friend to tell a friend. Like the video. I appreciate you guys, and I'm out.